Welcome back to the live morning show sponsored by Don Bullock Chevrolet. We are honored to have this month's Davenport Community for Life recipient, the Salvation Army, and we're honored to have with us today Lieutenant Wayne Meads of the Salvation Army. Wayne, thanks for being with us today.
Lim, thanks for having us.
Let's get started. Let's start with a 30,000-foot view of the Salvation Army as an organization. Tell us a little bit about its mission, its purpose, how it got started, and what it really does.
Sure. And first, let me emphasize, and this is what I want all the community and everyone to know first and foremost, is that the Salvation Army is a church. We do have the kettles, and we have a lot of the social service aspect of the Army that so many people are familiar with and have been able to take part of. But first and foremost, we're a church. Starting back in 1865 in the boroughs of London, a gentleman by the name of William Booth noticed that there was a need for those who couldn't get the message of Jesus Christ, whether it be from addictions, jail, whether it be the lifestyles that they were living, the church wouldn't accept them. He opened up those doors for them, and from there, from 1865 in England, it took off, and now we're in over 135 different countries around the world. And our mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human need in His name without discrimination whatsoever. And from that, for over 150 some years, we've been doing the same thing, same mission, same purpose, same message. And it's gotten us to where we are today to be able to help our community. But first and foremost, we are a church.
When did you come to the United States?
The Army came to the United States in the late 1800s. And when they landed, it took off like crazy. So if you notice that on the East Coast, the way that it would take off, it would it just spread like wildfire in the message and the open tent meetings, and then became what was known as a core outpost, a core being the church itself. You do kind of notice that we're somewhat of a quasi-military kind of ranking. Have like a rank of lieutenant that you see. And it goes on up, and us as officers, we look after these corps and the congregation that has come to be part of these churches, and from there it just took off. It spread from coming into Philadelphia and New York all the way out to California to where it is what you see today.
You're in 130 plus countries today. Is the message, is the mission the same in each one of those countries?
Exactly the same, without complication, without dispute, without all the controversy. It remains the same, that we preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. We do not get into the political arena. We do not get into the avenues of controversy, because we found once you're in that avenue, you can't get out. And it's like a plague, and you're always trying to defend yourself. We stand by the gospel, what it says, what it means. It hasn't changed, and neither have we.
Having taken that larger view of the Salvation Army, let's get a little closer to home. What does the Salvation Army really look at here in the Twin Counties and Rocky Mountain? First of all, your area, what is the area that you specifically cover?
We've now taken on Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties, and we have restructured our model. And you will notice that on our social media and a lot of other sites, we're known as the new NEW, Salvation Army, Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties, covering this area. We have a new facility, the Penny Barn Hill Salvation Army, right here on Hunter Hill Road, that we've just recently dedicated, opened up. It is a huge facility which we're able to incorporate our chapel services that are every Sunday, Bible studies. We also have kids programs that will be restarted again after the pandemic calms down and we're able to get a grip on what we can and can't do with our kids. We have our doors wide open for our seniors. We have senior programs that are happening and going on. We do assist those in Wilson counties as well. We were active, and people in Wilson that need to come over, they can, to receive services, whether it be spiritual services, whether it be food, any kind of social service that we do offer, they can come as well. Since we did close down in Wilson, people do not think they have access to the Salvation Army, and they do. This one is theirs.
You mentioned programs for children as well as seniors. Let's talk just a little bit about just a few of the specifics of the type of programs that you offer and the breadth and depth of them.
Sure. We are excited about the opportunity. Salvation Army here in Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties have adopted a new program that we would like to try that has already started in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and we think it'll work well in Nash and Edgecombe counties. It's called the Joshua Challenge, and it is a reading program that is geared specifically towards third graders who are not passing a reading level right now. You know, Lim, the pandemic caused a lot of families to be stuck inside.
Yes, it did.
It caused the learning curve all of a sudden just dropped because virtual learning is not the same as in-school learning. And so we felt that this program is much needed. Why? We've discovered that there are departments of corrections throughout different states who can look at their future bed counts based on how many third graders are failing reading. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can.
And so if you're saying to yourself, we can start a program now that will impact the future and have not only an impact on the kids themselves, but the state economy, the local economy, the kids themselves on their outlook in life, then that's what we wanted to do. We embrace this program. We want to start it for the kids here soon. We have a couple of schools who have agreed to say, let's try this. We'll be the pilot program. The teachers will be the ones doing it. We will take teachers, and they'll be getting paid as well to be able to offset any time that they're giving. So that's one of the programs that we're starting, and it's going to be held right there at our center. We'll supply all the equipment that's needed. The teachers will be there. The spiritual programs we will offer the kids as well. And it's 3 days a week, so we're really excited about that. The community has gotten behind us. They love this idea, and we're hoping that this will take off this year.
Literacy is the key to everything.
Amen. It is.
What about seniors programs?
Seniors programs, we have a great seniors programs that happens on Mondays and Wednesdays at our facility where our seniors can come and have exercise programs. We have a hall, a gymnasium in our new building where seniors can come and exercise, and then they have a devotional as well, and to be able to talk and meet. And we have a seniors program where they also can have lunch and fellowship, and my wife leads a great devotional program with them, and they can have that bond and community. Our seniors have been trapped by this pandemic, and now that they're able to get back out, and we think it's imperative to keep their spirits uplifted, to keep their hopes alive, that these programs continue and to go on. So we do offer those as well. We've been fortunate to be able to have friends in Tarboro at their senior community centers as well, to be able to partner up with them and to be able to offer our services there.
For the folks in Wilson, are those opportunities, is a youth program available in Wilson at this point?
It will be, and the way we're looking at doing that is to have like satellite programs, especially like you're talking about with the reading programs and things. We'll take the program to them. Teachers can stay in that school. Kids can stay right there for a couple of hours afterwards, get that direct attention that they need. And we have found, we've seen the reports in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and it's just amazing. Over 98% of the kids are back up on a reading level. Their self-esteem going into the 4th grade is just launched. They have an identity, and they know they have a mission.
Excellent.
Yeah.
For the families of the students in the Joshua program, and for the seniors who come to your facility, or would get access that through a satellite program, is there a cost to the family or to the seniors?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is free, and this is why we urge our community that when they recognize the things that the Salvation Army is doing, that it's all being able to be done because of their support. Lim, you may not realize, but it is not cheap to be able to run a program and to fully fund it and to have the community behind it. But fortunately with the Salvation Army, based on the economy where we're at right now, between 86 to 90 cents of every dollar that's donated goes into those programs. The rest keeps the lights on. It keeps gas in the vehicles to go pick these guys up and to be able to bring them on over, and offers these programs. And I think that that's where we cover the trust issue. People want to know, where's my dollar going? How is it being spent? And where are the results? And we're able to, like today, just to bring it to the community. This is what we're doing. We want them to be a part of it.
Wayne, let's talk about two topics that are really first and foremost on many people's minds right now. One is COVID.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how COVID and all the things that surround it have impacted the Salvation Army for the last 22 months and how it affects it going forward. And I also would like to ask you if the Salvation Army has any ability to assist the employees of the QVC plant that has been ravaged by the fire recently?
All right, let's talk about COVID first. That did have a great impact. You know, when you go into a situation where you've not experienced something like a pandemic before.
Which none of us have.
Yeah, you're thinking, well, how do I respond? Well, first and foremost, we have to evaluate what our mission is and what our goal is, and that's to help people, and that's to be of service to people. When something like this happens, this is a disaster in and of itself. Whether it be a tornado or hurricane, pandemic falls into those categories. So how do we help those people? Well, one, we have to be open. We have to be present. We can't just say, okay, this is something that we can't be part of. Let's just shut the doors and hide ourselves. No. And so we evaluated how to keep our staff safe, what was going to be the best course of action to getting help to our seniors. When the kids had to go home and they couldn't be there, Lim, you may realize sometimes for some of these kids in our communities, that school lunch, that school breakfast might be all they have.
Yes.
And so when these things close, okay, how do we get these kids these meals? So we got with our kitchen staff, got with our kitchen crew, put the mask on, put the gloves on, it says pack of meals and send it to them, and that's what we did. And so I also trying to be proactive, trying to be careful with our employees especially. We don't want anybody getting sick, but we also feel like, you know, with guidance by God, we can find a way to get, you know, the proper and most needed things, resources, which is going to be food, shelter assistance, and clothing out to these kids, and we did. And it was like a full force. We were feeding over 600 kids a day, taking meals to their homes, and moms and dads were stuck in the house and like, thank you so much. And we overcame that, but we overcame that with the guidance of God. And so for that, we give credit to Him for that. With the QVC, another situation that you're faced with where, okay, you may not have seen a fire this big where it impacted 1,900 employees around the community. So what do? Lim, this is what you do. You don't do it by yourself. You get with your other community organizations, and we are so proud and so honored that we work side by side with the United Way of Nash and Edgecombe counties. That they are a group of individuals that headed up a project. They worked closely with QVC to be able to make sure that all funds, assets, anything that was going towards the victims of this fire, meaning the employees, could have access to these resources. As you know, sometimes when tragedy happens, you get all kinds of things popping up, and you don't know what to trust. But you can go on our Facebook page on social media. We have up there the United Way's link to go straight to the United Way's portal to be able to make donations, to help and assist. Because first, sounds kind of cliche, but the fire has to die down in order to know what the need is.
Yes.
Because you don't want to just be throwing things at individuals who are suffering and they can't even use the resource. So we have been lucky. Places like Weyerhaeuser in Ada, North Carolina called us up, says if anybody needs a job, we have openings, we have positions, we want to help. So our team at the Salvation Army, our Community Development Director, Amelia Harper as well, we're writing these names down. We're getting these people to these resources. It is there. So I urge anybody who has suffered or lost their job because of this fire and is needing assistance, get in touch with the United Way first and foremost. Get in touch with us. We'll guide you in some other directions as far as assistance with clothing, maybe food and things like that, or even job placement. That's how we were able to attack it. It's working so far, and it's been a smooth transition for some people, and it happened during Christmas. And that was hard.
Very difficult time.
That was, and but we made sure that we're just readily available.
Let me go back to, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you for what you're doing, because you're addressing the needs of a segment of the population of our community that, through no fault of their own, is really in a difficult time, and it's going to get more challenging before it gets better.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you, United Way. Thank all of the organizations that have stepped up to help the victims of the QVC fire.
Amen.
Let's go back to COVID for just a second. Moving forward, because none of us know what this is going to look like tomorrow, much less next month or next year, how has COVID impacted your planning for 2022?
We look at, are we going to be able to impact the community in the way that we envision? And the answer is no. We can't right now, and the reason that I say that is because, again, with this variant that we're dealing with right now, is throwing up hurdles again. It's actually, we were accelerating, we were getting back to normal, and all of a sudden now we're putting the brakes back on and we're having to revert back to what we were doing when COVID finally hit. So for our planning, it's difficult. You have to play it by ear. You have to get in touch and say, listen, what do you feel comfortable doing? Where are we at as far as you saw the program, and how can we get this program to you? Virtual is not always easy for our seniors. It's not a resource or an outlet for them to be able to participate. So we have to, a lot of times, be one-on-one. And that means being intentional.
Yes.
And when you're intentional, you deliberately say, you know what, you might not be able to get here to us. Let me see how I can get to you. Let me, we do our part. This is our own choice, with vaccinations and things like that. We make sure we do everything to keep others that are safe, and we take these programs to them if we can.
Wayne, one of the most visible aspects of the Salvation Army is during Christmas time.
Sure.
When many people will see volunteers in front of businesses and grocery stores with your kettle and ringing the bell and soliciting donations along those lines. Tell us a little bit about that, how that got started, and actually what it does for the organization in 2021 and 22.
It was started actually in San Francisco with a gentleman who came from overseas. If I'm not mistaken, he was an Irishman that came from overseas and was put as a Corps officer in San Francisco. And in order to be able to feed the homeless that were there, he came up with the idea to have a kettle and to start this huge kettle, this cast iron kettle, and to take donations so that he could be able to offset the cost of being able to feed those that were in need. And from there, it just took off. We were looking at the I think it was 1893, if I'm not mistaken, that began. Those kettles are important because it does help with our budget. We do plan on how we're going to be able to implement new programs, pay the cost of building fees and things like that. Our current budget is quite high for a facility such as ours covering 3 counties. You're looking at possibly over $1 million a year that is needed to be able to provide these resources. So when these kettles are out there, they need to know, first and foremost, 100% of everything that goes in that kettle is coming back to this county. It stays right here. It stays locally. And so that sometimes people don't realize that. Secondly, it covers about 25% of our budget. So it is an important aspect, but it also is much needed, as well as the other programs that go on. But it is a tradition that has taken off. Our volunteers, we need volunteers like crazy. This year, it was amazing. Even with COVID that was happening, our volunteers from our Golden K Kiwanis out in Tarboro to our Rotaries here in Wilson and in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, to all the different organizations, to even the lady that has a pony. She dresses them up like in a Santa suit and goes in front of Hobby Lobby. We need our volunteers to be able to do this.
I was just going to say that when people see those kettles during the holiday season, those are volunteers. Those are not employees of the Salvation Army that are ringing them. They are volunteers.
Some. And Lim, this is what it's done. A lot of people don't know this. When we can't get volunteers, we actually hire bell ringers throughout the year.
I didn't know that.
They do, and we actually hire them. They get paid once every 2 weeks. So when we have to offset those costs, that gets expensive because we have to meet the regular state wages and everything. So you can imagine if somebody's working 40, 50 hours a week, that comes out of the kettle. So this is why it's imperative. We also need our volunteers.
Wayne, as always happens in interviews like this, our time goes so quickly as we wrap things up.
Sure.
If any of our viewers today have heard something that strikes a note or piques their interest, what is the best way for them to learn a little more about the NEW Salvation Army? And if they're interested in looking at becoming a volunteer, how can they go about doing that?
Great question. Thank you, Lynn, for allowing me to address that. Our new location is 1000 Hunter Hill Road in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 till 4. You can come by any time and visit our facility if you want to be able to volunteer, if you want to be able to see what services we have. Come by anytime. Those doors are never shut. You don't have to make an appointment. You can come right by. You can also call 252-446-4496.
And this information will be on file at the station, so if somebody needs it, call in.
Yep. 446-4496. Give us a call anytime. You can dial my extension, talk to me directly. People that want to volunteer, you have the Community Development Department with Amelia Harper. They can contact us there, and we would love to be able to show you the facility, show you our chapel. Come out. If you need a church family, that first and foremost, we have services every Sunday at 11. You're welcome. Come dressed as you are, just like William Booth said. Come like you are, shorts and a t-shirt, you're good to go.
If someone knows someone that needs services, or they themselves need services, can they reach out to you directly?
They can.
Salvation Army
They
directly?
can. They can reach out to us directly. Our social service department, again, 8 to 4. You can set up an appointment or call direct. If it's an emergency, we'll help you out right then and there. And whether it be food, shelter, clothing, senior programs, our veterans, just give us a call. Give us a call.
Wayne, thank you so much for being on the program this morning. Extremely delightful. And really, an organization that we see, we being the public, see on a regular basis, may not think about all the time, but I'm not sure that everyone knew the breadth and the depth of what the Salvation Army does for the community on a regular basis. Thank you for what you do. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Please come. We'll have you back again on to talk about this later in the year.
Amen. Thank you.
Folks, that's been Wayne Meads with the Salvation Army, Lieutenant Wayne Meads with the Salvation Army. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have our last look at the weather with Fred, and then Wayne and I will wrap things up. You're watching the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet, and we'll be back right after these messages.